Hey everyone, welcome to Nerds Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Chris.
And today we're doing another review of the awesome show, The Mandalorian. That's right, we are on Season 2, Episode 6? Are we on Episode 6 or Episode 5? Yeah. Episode 6. And it is called Chapter 14, The Tragedy. Wow. So for those who are new here, we're not going to jump into spoilers quite yet. We're going to kind of give you a high-level overview, spoiler-free, of what we thought about the episode, and then we're going to dive in full spoilers ahead, going through the whole episode plot by plot and discussing things that we saw and kind of predicting on what we think is going to happen next. So with that being said, Chris, Chapter 14, The Tragedy, what did you think of this episode?
Ooh, this was a good episode, I'm not going to lie. Lots of action. I wasn't sure how it was going to be, how the last one ended off there. I didn't know if it was going to be a filler where, something came up when they landed and whatever it may be. Yep. But it was not a filler at all. We got to see a lot of action and, again, more Easter eggs for future and past movies. So it was fantastic. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So when they were approaching the planet, I thought that they were going to get like you said, have a way to kind of knock them off course, delay them, whatever, from getting to the next plot point. But they kind of went right at it, which is cool. I thought that when seeing the atmosphere, I was kind of looking for stuff that reminded me of the old Republic, like the old school stuff, and I didn't really see anything that stood out. It did remind me a little bit of Rebels again, right, that planet. Yeah. It reminded me a little bit of that. But before we go into specifics, overall, I thought it was a great episode. Definitely, nail biting at the edge of your seat, kind of wondering what's going to happen, and then surprise 1 and then surprise 2, and there's things kind of coming out, and it was just a lot of things that I didn't expect to happen happened, and then kind of where do we go from here? And I don't know, it just kind of made me really excited to want to watch the next episode. Let's keep going. I don't want to wait another week, but we've got basically 2 episodes left, right? So they really have to make sure that these last 2 episodes hit hard, and I think this is definitely setting that up. That's exactly what they're doing here.
It's going to be non-stop action in these last 2 episodes, I think, and it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there you go, folks. We're going to jump into the full spoilers ahead. So if you haven't watched the episode, please watch the episode, then come back and watch the rest of this video, where we can kind of go in through and discuss all the amazing stuff that happened to the episode with you, and we can discuss it, and you can kind of get excited at what we are predicting, and then I'll leave some comments below, and we can respond what you think and what your thoughts of everything that kind of happened. So, Chapter 14, we start off with the Razor Crest that's heading towards Tython. Mando calls Grogu by name, and of course he responds, so he kind of has some fun with that, okay, I kind of know your name, we're getting a stronger bond, you're actually responding and understanding me, and we kind of have a deeper connection here.
He actually giggles a little bit, the Mando chuckles for the first time, kind of be this is awesome, I call your name, you respond, you get it, because in the past it's always been Grogu's never listened to him, never responded and everything. And now when he says his name, he gets a response right away. Yeah. So it's he's oh, this is awesome. He's listening and responding now.
Yeah, he asks for the ball because he's playing with a metal ball and to test him with the Force. So they kind of have this little thing there where he kind of yanks the ball from him, right? He tells him that he has to agree to go with them, as it talks about them having to come with if they do find some Jedi or whatnot. He's talking to Grogu and tells him that he has to agree to go with them as they can train him and he can't. So he's basically trying to explain to him listen, we're gonna have to go our separate ways, but it's what's best for you. I want to do right by you, and this is kind of where we have to go. So you have to be okay with it and that kind of thing. Says that he's too powerful. I thought that was really cool. Even he realizes for his age or whatever, he is very strong. Now, he hasn't seen this any other place except from him, right? And then, of course, a tiny bit from Ahsoka from the training, but Ahsoka was pretty much fighting on her own, so he didn't really see her use too much of it out in front of his eyes. So I thought that was really cool that even he senses this is or he feels it's beyond, what he would expect a Jedi to be. So I thought that was really cool. And again, I think it's kind of foreshadowing what we could expect from this character and kind of where the show can go from here.
Definitely.
Yeah, so he flies to what looks like the top of a temple, right? We see a stone, we see a bunch of pillars. Again, like I mentioned, it reminded me a little bit of the planet in Rebels where Ezra and Kanan go to look for answers. And they're kind of reaching out to try to speak to Jedis of the past and stuff like that. And so that's what it reminded me of. Obviously, Tython was a planet back on the Old Republic, so it dates back to like a really old school. But I didn't, like, again, from playing the video game and seeing this, there wasn't anything that really stood out to me. But overall, like, I thought it was cool that they were just, kind of making it very simple. Like, all these temples, all these Jedi things are all hidden, and you have to be a Jedi to be able to, like, find the entrance or gain access or even like feel like it just looked like stone. Like Mando was looking around scanning, couldn't see anything, but yet Grogu could feel and kind of knew what to do. And I thought that was really cool, and like how the temples are built and how the Jedis are all connected in the Force and all that kind of mysterious that surrounds it, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting that they've used a stone a couple times, like in The Last Jedi, and Luke was sitting on his stone. It seems to be maybe that was also a scene kind of stone, and he was training Rey on that to get her to feel the Force. So it seems to be something that's very strong with the Force, where even those that aren't truly tuned in with their potential can kind of use that to magnetize and enhance their Force and kind of learn that way as well. Because we saw Rey obviously get trained that way and feel down on the stone and feel, Luke was quizzing her on what she felt and everything.
Yeah.
And Grogu was kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how they keep using that.
Yeah, absolutely. So he jetpacks the child to the point because the ship won't be able to land there. So they kind of jetpack right to the top. So they kind of land the ship further away. Mando tries to figure out what to do, and we see that the Slave One appears and approaches. So I was like, here we go. Here we go. So he puts, obviously, Grogu down on the rock, and he's scanning, trying to figure out, and then he sees the Slave One approaching, so he's kind of like, gotta get ready. And so he is asking Grogu to do something, and of course he doesn't know what to do, and he's sitting there. And so then Grogu kind of like settles in and kind of like feels the rock, and I guess just senses the Force and reaches out and connects with it. And as he does that, he's kind of protected by this crazy force field, right?
Yeah,
all around him. And so Mando kind of sees that the Slave One's approaching, so he's like, okay, we gotta go. And the force field's kind of like going off. So he basically, since Rose's not responding, he's like, okay, I'll try to like fend them off, hurry up or whatever, we gotta go. So he kind of heads down and kind of
does he try and get him first though, and then gets bounced?
I don't think he gets bounced yet, but I think he starts calling out to him and he's not responding. And so he's like, okay, I'm gonna fend them off for a bit or whatever, right? So he kind of goes down, and so like I said, Mando sees Boba's Slave One ship. He goes out to meet him, and Boba shoots at Mando, and so he says, Boba shuts out that he's been tracking him. He says that so I think Mando mentioned something about like, can't have the child or whatever, and so he says, I'm here for the armor. Cobb Vance's armor is what he wants, and he says that he was wearing it, but he's a simple man making his way through the galaxy like his father. So I thought that was cool. They're bringing in Jango Fett and saying like, he's just a guy who's trying to get through the galaxy. He's not like on some crazy vendetta or whatever, even though he was a bounty hunter, and he definitely had what would be, I mean, if you just watch the original trilogy, some checkered past, always kind of joining and taking missions for the Empire. So you think he's like this bad guy, but he's really a bounty hunter. He just takes whatever mission he wants to and kind of does what he wants to get by, right? So
but I love the actor. It's the same one that played Boba Fett in the prequels.
Jango Fett.
And that's the same line that he used as Jango Fett to Obi-Wan.
Yes.
He literally says, I'm just a simple man trying to get by in the universe kind of thing. Like,
which makes sense, right? The main clones, even though he's like an altered, he's still like a clone of his father and has the DNA and stuff, which is really awesome. So they're talking, and then he talks about like having like guns pointed at the child, and Mando says something, I can't remember what it is. He says something like I can't remember. He makes a comment to him. He says, oh yeah, if you shoot him, I'm gonna kill you or whatever. And then he says, oh, it's not me, it's her. And he looks up and he sees Fennec there, who's alive, which we saw again. We called it out last season that boot was Boba Fett's boot. She came to her. Now I assume that she was dead, but she shows that she's got robotic parts very similar to Darth Vader, and so Boba Fett kind of saved her and kind of gave her new life essentially with his robotic parts, and so she's alive, and so I guess she's in his debt because he saved her life. So she's kind of like his sidekick now, and his mission was to get his armor back. And so she's there, and she's like, I never miss. Like, I never miss. Like, you better not mess with us, right? So Boba tells everyone to lower their weapons, and he tells Mando to take off his jetpack. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So, they all agree, and so Mando takes off his jetpack, whatnot. And Boba puts... so, again, they talk about the droid parts. Boba says that if he gets his armor, he will not take the kit. He will assure
That's right.
his safety. Like, I'm not going to hurt him. I'm going to make sure you're good. You can get out of here. There's no problems. And so...
Yeah, so he ensures both him and the Mando's safety.
Correct. Yeah.
And he says that the armor belongs to him. It was given down to him from his father. And the Mando questions him, asking if he's a Mandalorian. He says he pledges to no one, no allegiance.
That's right.
Just like his father, right? So.
And then they get interrupted by a ship. Another ship arrives, and so they all scatter. Mando tries, runs back to Grogu, tries to grab Grogu, but the Force knocks him back. That's the first time that it happens. And so, of course, it's an Imperial ship, a shuttle, it lands down. Some stormtroopers come out, and so we get to see Boba Fett and Fennec kind of go to town, start taking them out, which I thought was awesome. Boba Fett using the Tusken weapon and just wrecking shop, like just destroying people brutally, which is so cool. Yeah. Again, showing him it's not just his gadgets, it's like he is a fighter, a warrior, right?
That's right. Now, did you notice anything about the ships that touched down for the stormtroopers?
They looked familiar, but why don't you comment on them?
So I believe maybe they're an earlier version or the same version, but they look very similar to The Force Awakens in the opening scene when Kylo Ren lands right before all the First Order troopers coming in.
Yes, they do. Yes.
So I believe it's maybe an early version or the same version. I'm not quite sure, but they're very similar, if not the same. So I thought that was interesting because before we saw what we speculated was maybe the parts of Snoke being created. And this is another, kind of touch to an Easter egg to what's coming later on. Correct. That we've already seen in the Rise of Skywalker and such.
So, yeah. And I thought, again, it was really awesome. So as they're all fighting, Fennec takes more out, but a couple set up a heavy turret, that heavy blaster, and another starts using mortars to kind of hold her down. And so they're going... And obviously Boba's fighting the stormtroopers, but makes his way and stumbles upon Mando's ship, right? So she kind of dislodges a huge boulder and comes crashing down right towards the heavy repeater guy and just takes the gun out and him out. Boba again makes his way to the ship after killing the commander. Fennec continues to take out more troopers as another ship arrives with more troopers. So then we kind of kick back to Mando. He's still trying to get Grogu up, and he's like, his eyes are closed. He's meditating. The force fields around him. He's clearly reaching out with the force. And so, he's calling out to him. He's trying his best. He's trying all of his strength to reach in and try to grab the child. And of course, the force field just kicks him back out again. It's just too powerful. He cannot get through. So after he tries one last time to get Grogu, he fails and he leaves, saying that he can't protect him. As he leaves, he uses whistling birds to kill a bunch of troopers because he's basically up against a bunch of troopers. And the child stops using the force at this point as he kind of leaves and kind of passes out on the rock. Boba comes out as it looks like Fennec and Amanda are kind of pinned down. Comes out with his helmet on, his chest piece on. He's good to go. And again, starts wrecking shop again. The remaining few stormtroopers that survive run back to the ship to flee. He uses
his knee rockets. Did you notice that?
I did not.
Yeah, so he used knee rockets, and they were first introduced in like one of the visual encyclopedias that Star Wars put out, stating that he had knee rockets and gauntlet rockets and stuff like that. So he actually used it in this episode to make it more canon and show that he had more gadgets than we've seen before.
That's awesome. Now, he didn't have his full suit of armor because he was still wearing the black robes underneath the armor pieces. So like he wasn't his traditional gray pants and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure we're gonna.
And he was rocking a dad body for that one.
Yes, he was. But awesome scene nonetheless.
Oh, for sure.
A full circle. Boba Fett's back, and so he pops this thing down, aims at the ship. Locks on and fires his jetpack missile rocket right at them. Hits one ship, which lands and crashes and takes the other ship out. Really awesome scene. So they got destroyed. And then an Imperial cruiser, you just see a bolt come firing out of the sky and just takes out the Razor Crest. Just
it's gone.
Eviscerated. Like, whoa, that's not coming back from repairs.
His
iconic
you can't repair
ship
that
is
one.
Gone. His carbonite chamber, his weapons, his everything is just gone. And I was like, whoa, like talk about a way to reset things, right? And so then you're thinking, okay, Star Destroyer, but What happens here?
That's where they deploy the.
That's right. So Moff Gideon asks if the Dark Troopers, so it's not Death Troopers, the Dark Troopers have been engaged, and 4 Dark Troopers appear and they jetpack from the sky down to take the child or take Grogu. So they grab him and flee. And so they're droids. They're not troopers. They're not stormtroopers. Right. They are full-on droids. And I did some research on the Dark Troopers because, again, from the last episode, it was hard to tell, at least for me. When you're looking at the scene, you saw black helmets and stuff, but I really couldn't see the details, so I just assumed they were Death Troopers. But they were Dark Troopers, and if you look at the lineage, they were invented from the N64 Star Wars game.
That's right.
Wow, I can't remember the name of it now.
Shadows of the Empire.
Yes. Yeah. And so there was this whole project about making these Dark Troopers, and there were 3 phases. The first phase was like pure, skinny, droid-like. Phase 2 was a little bit more with armor, which is what these look more resembled off of. And then the phase 3 were these crazy, like Hulkbuster, full-on metal-plated, massive droid troopers, but they were also an exoskeleton that apparently they could, like a human could get inside it and control it, like an Iron Man suit.
Oh, okay.
That was phase 3. So these are clearly phase 2. They're completely droid enabled and whatnot. And so
it's funny how they went full circle though, because they started with the droids, then they went to human or clone stormtroopers, and now they've gone back to droids kind of.
And it's interesting because apparently, like, if again going back to the game, and like the idea of these Dark Troopers is that they had some resistance to the Force.
Yes, they were like Jedi killers kind of.
Yeah, and so that kind of makes you wonder, is that somehow with the blood and experiments and stuff trying to like figure out how the Force is being used and somehow
and how you can block it? And
like they're clearly doing something on some person. We assume it's Snoke or Palpatine, whoever it is, but that blood, that experiment, they're clearly learning other stuff about it and somehow harnessing it and infusing some sort of blocker in these units, supposedly, unless they decide to change the canon of what the Dark Troopers are. Right? I mean, this is the first time they're bringing them into official canon, right?
Yeah, we didn't see them fight or anything like that. We literally just saw them land in the circle, and that part reminded me of like Lord of the Rings, like kind of surrounding Frodo.
The Nazgul, yep.
Yes. So I had that kind of vibe from it. Like they all just land and start going in sequence towards Grogu.
Yes. So we know that the huge ship is an Imperial cruiser, not a Star Destroyer. Boba chases in the Slave One. Right? And so he sees them taking off, and so he's in the slave when he's chasing them. He's like, I can take him down. And he's like, no, you can't harm the child. So Fennec rails back. So he's like, no, abort. Like, we don't want to kill the child. And so he says, okay, no problem. I'll follow them to see where they go.
See where they go.
And so as he kind of breaks through the atmosphere, he sees the Imperial destroyer, the Imperial cruiser, and he says, they're back. The Empire is back. And this is coming from Boba Fett. And Boba Fett is like, you never expect him to be like scared or fearful or anything, but the way he says is like, oh crap, they're back. Like, guys, like he's clearly not on their team, but even he's worried, right? And so Mando digs through the wreckage, finds the ball that Grogu was playing with, the metal ball, and finds his Beskar spear.
Beskar, yes.
We also find out, because then he confronts Boba Fett, and they're there and they're talking, and so he pulls up this like record, this family tree that's built into the suit. And he says like it's built into the suit, my heritage, and he says that my father Jango was a foundling, so now it's officially canon. So yes, he's not blood Mandalorian, but he was raised by Mandalorian, so he is still a Mandalorian.
And given the armor.
Correct. So he's still Mandalorian. As much as Din Djarin's the Mandalorian, Jango Fett is the same, and Boba Fett by blood and by DNA is also a Mandalorian, and so there's no disputing that now. A lot of people say, well, he's a clone, and Jango stole the armor, and like if you look back at the original Bounty Hunter video game for GameCube and whatnot back in the day, and which I played, it has the backstory of Jango, how he acquired the armor, how he got the Slave One ship, how like everything happened, right, and kind of how he progressed, and like he stole the ship from like some basically police, like some cops. In some huge ship hovering over the ground. Now I'm not saying that has changed, but like his lineage of like, no, he was raised as a bounty hunter, as a foundling. I thought that was really cool.
I agree.
So Mando says that their bargain is complete, and Boba says not yet. Their agreement says for the exchange of the armor, he would ensure the child's safety. So they are in his debt until they get the child back. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was
so cool.
Because everyone would expect Boba's like, I got my thing, I'm out. But he's not. He's a bounty hunter. He's a Mandalorian. Everyone
of his word.
Yeah, he looked very evil. Like while he was a bounty hunter, he just did what the Empire wanted to do. He's by Jabba's palace. He's always hanging out with the criminals and the evil. But he's a bounty hunter. He's a Mando. He's
where the
there to
credits
do a
are.
job. Exactly. And so, and this is showing that no, he's like a Mandalorian from the sense of like, he's honorable. And if he makes an agreement, he's going to honor that agreement. He's not going to betray people or backstab people. And so it kind of brings a little bit more light and a more appreciation for Boba Fett that a lot of people didn't think of. They just thought of him as this cruel killer, much like you look at Bosk or Dengar and all these gruff guys. And, you know, he was very menacing, but he just did what Darth Vader said because he was hired to do it. Not that he was like a bad guy.
Agreement, and he was just following the agreement. And
so I thought that was cool. So he's basically saying that, so we're in your debt until you get the child back. So basically Mando is boarding Slave One and he's riding with Boba Fett and crew, and they're heading off to Navarro asking Cara Dune for help, who is now Marshal of the New Republic.
That's so she's right.
Officially
she's wearing the stripes.
She accepted the badge of honor. Essentially, it's just not just a trinket. It's like, okay, I'm not just the Marshal of this planet, but I am like, we're now kind of part of the New Republic. I'm the Marshal of part of the New Republic, so this planet is kind of part of that crew, I guess. And she's kind of representing, but she says, of course, that she's going to help him in any way possible because of their friendship and whatnot. So he asks her for help to find Mayfield, who is basically the guy that he put in prison from the Breakout episode in the first season.
That's right.
The guy with the third gun. Yeah, exactly. And says he needs him for a mission. So
I love it.
Very, very interesting. We thought we definitely see them come back again. And
but Cara Dune's fighting it because she's on the up and up trying to be legit. And then he finally just blurts out, they had the kid. Like,
that's right.
And that's when her face is like, oh crap, like, okay.
Yeah, I understand. Like, this is worse. Like, they're a worse evil, and we gotta bend the rules to kind of get what's done. And it's cool. And it's like, you know, she's part of the New Republic. She's part of like what she believes and stands in. But at the same time, she's come a long way. She's served. She's kind of like made friends, and like she's still honorable and does her own thing. But then now she's kind of joined up again. So she's kind of like between a rock and a hard place of like, do I stay true to like my cause? But then I have this strong bond with this person who is morally good and he's trying to do what's right. And we're trying to stop the Empire still, just in a different gray area kind of way, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool.
Even Luke and Han kind of bend the rules and everything just to try and for the better of all.
Yeah, absolutely. And we cut to a final scene where Moff Gideon, who is walking through some hallways, to Grogu, who is in a prison cell, and there's stormtroopers who are being tossed around, choked, force choke, and then slamming them together. And I'm like, he's using the dark side. He's using the dark side. We saw him choke Cara Dune before. He clearly has strong affinity to the Force, and he has, even at the strong age, due to his, as Ahsoka said, his attachment, his fear, his anger, that attachment to Mando. Or Din Djarin, it can allow him to tap in the dark side, and we're seeing it again manifest here. And it's not like, you know, running out of power. He was angry and he was like choking guys and slamming them together and just like
he was trying to hurt them. Yeah.
And so Moff Gideon basically asks him if he's ever seen one of these, and kind of turns on the darksaber, and it's right there. And so Grogu kind of reaches out a little bit towards it, and he kind of puts it away and says, "No, you're not ready for this yet."
You're not ready to play with this yet.
That's right. And then Grogu, after he's in the Force, is a little bit tired, so he tells the stormtrooper to put him to sleep, whatever.
Stun
and so
him.
He's stunned. He uses the stun gun. He stuns him, stun mode. And Gideon says, put him in the shackles and call out to Dr. Persian that they have their donor. Yeah. So it's like, man, like, he's sitting there enjoying like what he can do, and he's like teasing him, and then he just like zaps him. He's like, put him in shackles. Like, I don't care if he's a child or whatnot. Like, you know, we're gonna use you for what you are. And it's just like so cruel, so evil. And we see that, you know, he's struggling. And I'm kind of wondering, like, could we potentially see this dark side go out of him? Can he become a dark character? Will Mando get him back, but he's still like on this side? If he does get trained, is he going to tap into the dark side and get frustrated?
Yeah, like Anakin and stuff like that. Yeah,
the possibilities are awesome. But I mean, that's kind of where we end it, right? He basically says, you know, call the doctor and tell him that we have their donor, and it kind of ends from there. So we know that Mando is with Boba Fett and Fennec, and they're going to be working with Mando to try to save the child. Mando's plan is to recruit a Mayfield and possibly his crew, and Cara Dune is obviously probably going to be joining as well. I don't see how she's going to stay out of it. So very exciting next couple episodes, as they're going to have to storm this Imperial cruiser to take it back amidst dark troopers and a potential Thrawn.
Yes.
We don't know. Also,
maybe Ahsoka will come join them, help them.
Well, that's the thing.
Maybe
she
some of the
doesn't
other
know.
Mandalorians.
She doesn't know what happened as far as like they were taking whatever, right? She told him to go out. He'll reach out the forest. Someone will come. So she's kind of like she kind of made her appearance. She probably will show up at some point, but I don't know if she'll show up in Mando's company this season. She might show up another season. I'm not expecting her to come back yet. I do think that Grogu was in that trance for a while. To me, it would have been like he was communicating with someone.
Yes.
That's how I interpret it. He was there for a while. He's yelling and he's there and he's like just like he's probably communicating not verbally but like through the force. And so someone's coming. Someone knows what's happened. He passed out. And if once that person's made that connection and then senses that he's been taken, senses danger, assuming that they're close, I'm kind of curious. Will this so-called Jedi that he's reached out to show up? Could it be Mace? Could it be Cal Kestis? Could it be Ezra? Could it be anyone? Right?
Yeah.
And here's the cool thing. If it ends up being Mace, if these rumors turn out to be true and it ends up being Mace, Mace shows up to try to save, but now Boba Fett hates Mace because he killed his father.
He killed his father.
So even though he's teamed with Mando and then Mace shows up, they might have this crazy like sparring match thing and Mando has to kind of come in between and then he's going to see like, oh, the Jedi are attacking Mandalorian, so I got to defend. Like there's so much possibility here that I am so excited to see kind of where they decide to go. What are your thoughts?
Yes. Oh, 100%. Like, I don't know, to see what they can do. How will Grogu, survive through this? Will he be the cause of the empire, the new empire, and everything like that?
Yeah.
The First Order and anything like that. Who will control the Darksaber? Will we see some other people? Yeah. Will we see Bo-Katan come back and help and bring like a bunch of other Mandos?
He's recruiting people, right? Why not reach out to her?
Yeah, so like she be part of the end where she's trying to get the Darksaber back. Will the Mando get the Darksaber? Will he start training as a Jedi with Grogu?
Oh, you know what? I just thought of something. So if Bo-Katan, so if he reaches out to them, whatever, she's friends with Ahsoka. She knew where Ahsoka was. What if she radios into Ahsoka and says, "We're gonna need your help," and so she gets Ahsoka to come. Not Mando, but like he reaches out to Bo and Bo's like, "Hey, we're going up against Thing. We found the Darksaber. I need your help." There. Yeah, they have the child. Like, boom. Like, let's go. Like, it could be this crazy setup for like a phenomenal ending to a season that, like you said, just launches the next 2 or 3 shows, and obviously has a great next step forward into season 3 of Mando. Great way to like get people hyped for Star Wars again. And get pave the way, because we know Obi-Wan is probably the next main show that's going to show up. But
I've heard that there's going to be an Ahsoka Disney Plus show.
Oh, there is going to be an Ahsoka show. There's going to be the live Ezra and Thrawn show for sure. And I'm sure
so that would be great to like bring Ahsoka over and Thrawn, and then they can kind of go off. And then that will be their show. Like have the Darksaber, where's that going to go?
Yeah, Sabine is probably going to show up. And they did say that once people go off into their own shows, it doesn't mean they're not going to keep showing up and crisscrossing into each other's shows. It's one big, huge world. And if they appear in certain areas, they're all using them. It's all under the same license, which I love. I'm like, let's do it MCU style.
Oh, 100%. Exactly.
Like, it's Mando's show, but why not Ahsoka show up again in an episode, another season? He recruits her, they're friends or whatever. And why not?
Or him into one of her episodes or whatever it may be. Like, they can... Like the Infinite Crisis or like any MCU movie, like it works very well.
Yes.
And Star Wars should be like that as well.
Absolutely. So I'm so excited. They're setting it up to be a great, Star Wars CU, SWCU, whatever you want to call it. I think it's going to be phenomenal, and I cannot wait. Like they said, Dave Filoni, and now they have like George Lucas kind of like filling in the blanks. I mean, I wonder if they kind of got some of the Dark Trooper ideas after conversing with George Lucas on it, with the original game, and kind of how the cool idea there, and kind of what he foresaw like the future of the original trilogy was supposed to be, and kind of how they're going to shape it or change it, connect it somehow. I don't know. I'm really stoked. And like you said, like Marvel's MCU, they're doing a whole Doctor Strange multiverse, changing timelines. We know that there is that, the Force has the ability to at least change timelines or change the past or the future, right? So there's time travel that's been very slightly introduced in Star Wars. There's no reason why they can't break that out into something else completely different, right? A big Thanos type character, a big bad, a new Death Star weapon that changes time portals and other space jumping stuff that just causes chaotic. And like you said, they can change the new trilogy. They can
That's
make a
right.
new trilogy that is like from a different time period, and then they collide. Like, who knows? Like, the possibilities are endless, and I'm all up for it. I'm like, let's just go nuts at this point. Let's just
Same here.
bring some of the legends back into canon, because they had such great stories, and I think that's what Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and George Lucas are set out to do, is to bring the best parts of Star Wars to light and kind of give the fans what they want. And so I cannot wait to kind of see where we go from here.
Have you seen the new Lego Star Wars holiday special?
I have not. It's on our list to watch with the kids, but I want to see it. Do they make references to stuff?
So there is a time travel element to it. So they do have, they are kind of hinting at that. And I know it's Lego and kind of far off, and
necessarily canon, but even so,
but like they can work that into the Star Wars and kind of make either time travel or reverse time or alternate realities, anything like that. They can retcon anything they want.
Of course, they have hyperdrives. They can fly through space so quickly and go around the galaxies. Why not have wormholes and open up other scientific crazy stuff with the Force and stuff like that? They can, like the Force, you can see the future, you can see the past, you can talk to people from Force ghosts and stuff like that. So that's different dimensional planes or whatever you want to call it. And then why not? Like, they can go wherever they want. With scientifically, it's a future. I mean, it's technically in the past, but I mean, it's a futuristic type show, right? So they can do whatever they want. Kyber crystals, they can untap some new stuff that allow you to do this kind of who knows? There's so many options. So I'm excited.
Definitely. Same here.
Yeah. So overall, this episode, man, now that we've talked about plots and details, I mean, yeah, we said it's a great show. I mean, is there anything specific that just really stood out to you, like you really enjoyed or perhaps didn't like with kind of how they
just seeing Boba Fett back in his armor was just fantastic.
Yes.
And the fact that it was the original actor in it that played Jango Fett and all the other clones, and it was based off him and his voice and everything like that. It's just like he even came back and re-recorded voiceovers for like the original trilogy for Boba Fett. So his voice is Boba Fett as well. Now that they've gone back and done it, so just seeing him back in his armor and like just kicking at, like just demolishing stormtroopers and just going nuts, even without his armor, like seeing that obviously he survived maybe with the Tuskens because he had the Tusken rifle and their staff. I don't remember what it's called. I know it has a name, but I don't remember. But just seeing that in action and seeing Grogu actually using more of the Force and showing that he's actually getting stronger and stronger, but also tapping into the dark side, which makes him stronger as well, but in a dangerous way.
And they could like have Palpatine, introduce some new villainous character who's just pulled the strings to try to like lure Grogu to the dark side, because he's like, this is a powerful person that I can have on my team. And then if there is a Mace, Cal Kestis, Ezra, whatever character is there and sees some darkness in him and tries to like stop him or fight him, or they bring him to Luke. They somehow bring Luke in, and Luke's, I don't know. I just like this idea of having him like tap into the dark side and being like this Yoda species character is great. We had that awesome arc in Clone Wars where we got to see some stuff that I thought was some of the top episodes in that show, and I thought that was great. Got to bring Darth Bane back into canon and all that kind of stuff. So I thought this is great. Like let's explore that a bit. Like, this is a very powerful species, right? They're very strong with the Force, clearly. Let's get more background about them, where they are, who, are they somehow offspring or connected very closely to the father, daughter, and son? Are they like the closest species to like that true essence of the Force? And that's why they're so like, I don't know. I just want to know more about them and why are they so special and what makes them so strong. And, there have been so few throughout the galaxy. There must be a reason, balancing the Force and all that stuff. But it'll be very interesting to see what they kind of decide to go for. Are this going to be it? He has a name. We're not going to explore his backstory. Let's just kind of move forward. Or are they going to keep digging as we go into season 3 and 4 of the show?
Because there's two things I also want to get some backstory on: how Boba Fett got out of the Snorlax pit, and two, how Grogu survived Order 66 and who took him from the temple. Who hit him and who took him? I
think we will, because they did say his memory gets foggy, and it says someone saved him, so we're going to find out who it is. It could have been Cal, but I don't think it's Cal, because do you think there would have been some mention of him trying to save kids in the game? Like a comment of, I tried to save kids, or I tried to save people, or something. There's no comment of that, right? He was young during the Clone Wars when his master died, so it wouldn't have been him. But yeah, could it have been? I mean, Mace was presumed dead at that time, right? He just died. The Clone Wars took off. Everyone was under attack. So it wouldn't have been Mace. He would have fallen off and whatever. So it would have been interesting to see kind of who did it, who went down and hid these kids. Another unnamed Jedi that we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
You know, another Jedi Master that we didn't see get killed. That was off trying to help Jedi and then help as he hid some of them. Then he got killed. We'll have to wait and see kind of where that what happens. But yeah, I think that they could address that and say who it was or how it was connected.
I hope so.
And I mean, he was trained by many masters. He said like multiple masters. So it didn't have just one master. He's 50 years old. So clearly he's not going to be with a master as a Padawan for 50 years. So it's like, okay, this master can taught all he can. This master can taught all they can. And maybe that's why these creatures are so strong, is because they live for so long. They get through so much training at such a small age. They learn like all the lightsaber forms and all the different idiosyncrasies and special abilities that these different masters have, and they kind of absorb it all. And so they have this advantage over other people that are like, okay, you're already 20, like you got to get going, like you got to get out there, kind of thing.
And even through their time, they can like get more in tune to their force and their their chi or whatever inside, and just get stronger and stronger and stronger and build it up that way as well, because of their aging process.
Man,
so very exciting times ahead, though, man. They're knocking it out of the park. Honestly, like they are killing it.
So awesome. Slave One looked great.
Oh yeah,
did it justice. Bringing Fennec back.
I wonder what
was.
Yes, I like that
because as an actress, right? She's big in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I can't remember her name. Ming-Na something. I can't remember.
She's like 50-something years old.
I know.
Phenomenal. Like,
and I'm like, they wouldn't bring her to just kill her off in one episode. Like she's clearly back.
No,
just like you said, good. Bill Burr. I'm like, they wouldn't have him and then just not bring him back. Clearly, there's a plan for it, right? Introduce some people in season 1. It's okay if they have one episode. We'll bring them full circle. Cara Dune, she's showed up once in this episode, and it wasn't even like, hey, we really need your help. It was one mission, and that was pretty much it. And now they're looping them in again, and it's like, these are big characters. They are, will they become part of Mando's crew? In a sense, they kind of are. They kind of join up and help him when he needs help, but they kind of have their own lives, and I kind of like that.
That's right.
They're their own people. They're not just like Han Solo and Chewie, and they're all just sitting in the Millennium Falcon, going from one point to the next, being the adventurers. It's like, no, it's like people are running their lives, and it just happens that, some people need help, and they're calling their friends for help and trying to overcome evil.
That's right.
And I like that idea of this kind of situation.
Same here. I really like that everyone has their own story, but they can all intermingle. Similar to what we think, the Star Wars universe can be as a general, right? Like, Obi-Wan or someone else can kind of intertwine and go into different timelines, or not timelines, but different, people's stories and stuff like that, depending on what the timeline is. Yeah. Who's around.
That's so great. So there you have it, folks. That was our thoughts on the new episode 14. Sorry, chapter 14, The Tragedy, as Grogu got taken back by the Empire. Right. So let us know
Razor
what you
Crest
thought.
is gone.
Yeah, like Razor Crest is gone, like completely. Now, actually, I wanted to bring that up. I was going to bring that up, but I forgot. So after he joins Boba Fett, and then they head back to Navarro, when he went to go speak to Cara, he did not have the jetpack on. Now, his jetpack didn't get destroyed because he put it down in the field. So why would he not grab that as he left? Because Boba Fett clearly didn't take it from him. He didn't want it.
I kept saying throughout the episode, grab your jetpack, grab your jetpack.
So I'm like, at the end, I was looking, I'm like, he's speaking to Cara. It's not there. Did he leave it on the planet? Like, what's going on here? Why would he give up his jetpack?
Yeah, maybe he just left it in Slave One or something like that. I don't know.
I hope he does not, lose it. He left it. And then that's the other thing, his rifle, was that in the ship? Did that get destroyed? Because...
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, because I thought that as well when he was rummaging through.
He grabbed the spear.
Like, find his rifle.
Right,
yeah.
And when he was out in the field, he had his... I don't remember him having his rifle. He had his pistols, right? When Boba Fett attacked him. So I'm like, oh man, if he lost that weapon too, yikes.
Yeah, because that's huge back to that throws homage to the original Christmas story where
Boba Fett, he's
like day with Boba Fett. That's right. Yeah. It's a throwback and call back to Boba Fett. So it was kind of cool to see that, but I'd like it to still be around. Absolutely. We'll see.
So man, it's exciting. So there you have it, folks. Those are our thoughts. What did you think of this episode? What are your predictions for the last 2 episodes? How they're going to end this season? What new characters do you expect to see? Where do you expect the story to go for the next season? And do you think we'll see Ahsoka or Bo-Katan again? Do you think we'll see any of these Jedis that we keep talking about? Do you think that, he's going to save Grogu, or is he going to die? Have an unfateful end? And that kind of spurs this anger in Mando to kind of vengeance against the Empire? it's very interesting to kind of see what happens. Will Grogu turn to the dark side and like abandon fight against Mando? I mean, who knows what can happen? But let us know. We're interested to know your opinions. Drop a comment below. Like the video. Click that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate your support. And as always, friends, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.